When is it proper, appropriate, righteous, the best course to not turn the other cheek?
To defend others.
When it's in the best interest of others.
To defend God's design. Speaking on His behalf.
So, parents, have you ever had a child in a temper tantrum striking out at their parent to hit their parent? Is it in the best interest of the child to let children hit their parents without discipline, without restraint? Is that in their best interest? No. So there's clearly, but notice if you intervene with a child who's striking out at their parent, is the intervention to take vengeance upon the child, to inflict harm upon the child? Or is the intervention, as I've heard some of you say, to protect the child, for the best interest of the child, to restrain the child? How about a psychotic patient who is seeking to harm you as a healthcare provider, a family member, someone in the community, maybe themselves? Do we just turn the other cheek and let them, or do we intervene and restrain? And what is the goal again? Any intervention at that point, are we seeking to harm? Are we seeking to punish? Are we seeking to retaliate? Are we seeking to protect? So when does Jesus' injunction to turn the other cheek apply? When does it apply?
I've always believed when you read the Bible, you're reading about yourself, not anybody else. So I would say that it applies when it happens to me.
Yeah, in what circumstances though?
Well, one of the things we're told is heap burning coals upon their head. There's instances where the only thing that will stop evil is a lot of good. To retaliate for exactly what they've done to you only prolongs that or increases the anger and the hatred, and you get the Hatfields and McCoys going on. But sometimes to turn the other cheek would be to amaze someone else and cause a dissonance in their thinking. Why are they behaving in a totally different way than we normally would?
So who said, if everyone practiced an eye for an eye, the whole world would go blind? Who said that? Anybody know? Gandhi said that. Now, Gandhi, was he Christian? So then he can't practice the principles of turning the other cheek, then he's not allowed. Or did he practice those principles? Did he teach those? And did they have a societal effect? A world-changing effect, really. An empire was changed by that. But how can he do that if he's not Christian?
It's design.
A design law. You know, Gandhi actually also said that he read the New Testament and read about Jesus Christ and liked Jesus Christ, and he would be a Christian if he ever met one. Yes?
I'm referring to Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter. It speaks of it as a time to fight.
Say that?
When it speaks of a time to fight, a time for war, when will those times come if we're constantly turning the other cheek? When is it appropriate to fight back?
So now we want to talk about it not on an individual level, we want to talk about it on a national level. Is there a difference between what we as individuals choose to do in governance of self and what nations choose to do? And I think oftentimes we confuse those. What a national policy is might not be the same thing because the Bible teaches us that human governments are put in place to restrain and set structure. But Jesus said none of these governments are representative of my kingdom. My kingdom is not of this world. I don't practice these methods. This isn't how my government works. So are we to practice in our personal individual life the methods of beastly systems? Or do we recognize that human governments are going to practice methods because it's a world that's corrupt and you can't have a human government that is only governed by godly people? Does anybody believe in this world we'll have a government only governed by godly people? No. So they're going to be corrupt. These human governments are going to be corrupt. So I always try to differentiate setting policy for nations versus setting policy for my own personal conduct. They're not the same for me. And as an individual, then we see stories like Desmond Doss, who was willing to serve his nation and put himself in harm's way, but was unwilling to take another life. That was his person. There are many other stories. Sergeant York, you know the story of Sergeant York, very devout Christian person who struggled with whether he should go to World War I or not. But he didn't want to take a life, and he agonized over the principles of so forth. And in his conviction, it was he was not going to go to take life, he was going to go to protect life. He was the most decorated war hero of World War I. But his goal was, I'm going to do what I'm going to do to bring an end to the violence and stop it. Not because I want to kill these people, but this was a method of restraint in his mind. Am I to judge him? Is one person's heart more virtuous than the other? Or were they both trying to do what they thought was in harmony with the principles of God in a world to bring violence to an end? So suffering, we're talking about suffering. One is when unrighteous people attack righteous people. Another, though, is suffering that occurs because disease and decay in nature.